All right, here's the big story. This is from Fox News. They say at least 40 babies, some beheaded, found by Israel soldiers in Hamas-attacked village. IDF Major General Itai Verov described the scene in Kfar Aza as a massacre. Israel's military has discovered unspeakable horrors in an Israeli community that was attacked by Hamas on Saturday, including dozens of dead babies, some with their heads chopped off, Israeli media reported. According to local Israeli outlet I-24 News, IDF soldiers moved into Kfar Aza, one of the communities Hamas terrorists invaded early Saturday morning, and discovered about 40 dead babies, some decapitated. They say it several times before the article gets started. The IDF were removing the bodies of victims found in the area when they found the children's remains. Israeli soldiers are attempting to use bones to identify the victims, according to the report. It's not a war. It's not a battlefield. You see the babies, the mother, the father, in their bedrooms, in their protection rooms, and how the terrorists killed them. IDF Major General Itai Verov said, describing the scene. I-24 reported it's a massacre. Now, immediately, a lot of people brought up the Nayira testimony, which is a young woman, Nayira al-Sabah, in the early 90s, who had stated that Saddam's forces were pulling babies out of incubators and leaving them to die. So the news is obviously shocking. And the first thing I'm just going to say as we get into this subject matter is, look, man, this is such a heated issue. There's people tweeting out photos and videos. They're saying the attacks, it's pure evil. Don't support this. You've got tweets from people like Ben Shapiro saying there's a big difference between Israel trying to prevent civilian deaths and Hamas targeting civilians. So obviously, this is extremely heated. That being said, I remain skeptical on stories like this. There are a lot of videos I'm seeing shared. I can't prove these videos are what people say they are. There are some videos that are easily discernible. Like, yes, there's paratroopers coming in. Some of these are clearly not from, they're not. What people will do is they'll take videos from other conflicts and then they'll caption them and put them as if it was now to shock you or whatever. Some of the videos we've seen are clear and plain as day. And I think the reporting speaks for itself. But then there are more shocking stories like this. There are videos that start right in the middle of something egregious happening that we don't know where they come from. So I just hope everybody keeps a level head to the best of their abilities. We can try and figure out what's true and what isn't. But I'm curious what all of you guys think about this latest reporting, because this is, look, the idea that babies are beheaded is international casus belli. I mean, it is the U.S. sending a strike group, a carrier group. This is, we rally our allies and say these terrorist groups must be stopped. That's why I have fears about what these stories mean.
The first thing I heard, or the first thing that I thought when I heard it, was obviously the stories that led to the first Iraq war.
That's the Nayira testimony.
Yeah, so I mean that was the first thing I thought of, and I mean there's plenty of actual evidence of horrible things happening when the Palestinians actually launched the attack. I think it was like 1,500 actual fighters they said actually went into Palestine.
Into Israel, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, into Israel. There's plenty of evidence that they killed innocent people. There's plenty of evidence that they, carried out what amounts to a terror attack. It's not a military operation. There's plenty of evidence. So
there are videos you don't want to watch.
Absolutely. And I don't need to believe that they were cutting off babies' heads to condemn the attack on Israel. So, if it turns out that it happened, I'm not shocked. I mean, I was alive when ISIS, when the Islamic State was in existence, and I saw videos of them cutting off people's heads and doing terrible things. I remember 9/11. You don't need to have this particular thing to be real to be like, okay, terrorists do really horrible things with the intent of terrorizing people.
I'm curious what you think, Max.
Yeah, I would be shocked, first of all, because Hamas is mortally opposed to ISIS and Salafi elements. They've actually battled them in the streets in Rafah before. They consider them a threat to their stability, and Israeli intelligence actually has worked with Salafi elements in Gaza to destabilize Hamas, just as Israeli intelligence supported Hamas to destabilize the PLO when it controlled Gaza in the 1980s. So I would be shocked if they employed something like this. The only source so far on this story is one Israeli soldier who's a very interesting character. We've traced his identity at the Gray Zone. And it comes through a state-sponsored Israeli media organization, as you pointed out, I-24, the reporter Nicole Sedek, who just went to Kfar Aza and said, I'm hearing that babies were beheaded.
Right.
Then the Israeli Foreign Ministry goes and blasts it out, 40 babies beheaded. Why? Because the U.S. bombed the crap out of ISIS in Raqqa, that we destroyed half of the city of Raqqa. And that's what Israel wants us to do to Iran. They want us to see Hamas as ISIS and then to get involved in their regional conflicts. So they're pushing this story. The source is a Israeli soldier named Davidi Ben-Zion, who is a settler leader. He's from one of the fanatical wings of Israeli politics. And he, he's a reservist. He's serving in the military. But he got in trouble earlier this year because he called for an entire Palestinian village to be wiped off the map next to his illegal settlement in the West Bank. And he's the guy that she's interviewing as her credible witness. I don't trust it. And as you said, Israel has enough to go on right now to try to portray itself, even though it's the occupier and besieger of the Gaza Strip, according to international law, to portray itself as a victim. Why do they need to do this? It's because they're trying to draw the U.S. in.
I agree with that for sure. Because that's why everybody immediately brings up the Near testimony. What will shock Americans to the most extreme degree to justify U.S. involvement?
You should break that down, though. Like
the Near testimony.
Yeah.
I mean, I can break it down. We have the Wikipedia pulled up. False testimony given to the United States Congressional Human Rights Caucus, October 10th, 1990, by a 15-year-old girl who was publicly identified by the time by her first name, Nayira. The testimony was widely publicized and was cited numerous times by U.S. senators and George H.W. Bush in their rationale to support Kuwait in the Gulf War. In 1992, it was revealed Nayira's last name was al-Sabah and that she was the daughter of Saud al-Sabah, the Kuwaiti ambassador to the U.S. Furthermore, it was revealed that her testimony was organized as part of the Citizens for a Free Kuwait public relations campaign, which was run by the American public relations firm Hill and Knowlton for the Kuwaiti government. Following this, al-Sabah's testimony has become regarded as a classic example of modern atrocity propaganda. So it is false testimony. Her story initially was even corroborated by Amnesty International. So this is crazy. I mean, I'm a little kid. I'm 4 years old when this stuff's going down. Actually, what month was it? It was October. So I was 4.
The story was that they were stabbing babies in incubators with bayonets and throwing them on the ground so that way they could take the incubators back to Iraq from Kuwait. That was the story. And I mean, I was 15 when I heard it or whatever. So, what the hell did I know? But I was like, oh, that's so terrible. But now looking back, obviously, it's like especially today with the way that we have the ability to communicate and produce fake videos and have videos that don't have any context with them, you have to be really careful.
Look, man, do I think it's possible that some babies were killed? Yes, absolutely. If they're coming into a kibbutz and they're shooting, yeah, there's crossfire. I see kids killed in Chicago, right? And you're in an active conflict zone, likely going to happen. I think it's possible that the most reasonable and rational thing that I would say highest probability in terms of this being truthful is that a couple babies died. One had this is such a horrible thing to say, but severely injured to the point of decapitation. And then someone passes it along and Purple Monkey dishwashes itself, telephones itself into 40 babies killed, beheaded, and a more extreme version of the story. But now it serves a political purpose. So it escalates to a point where Fox News is reporting it, headline, as though it's, proven. The challenging thing is, what do you need? How do you prove it? What do you do if this is true, if they're not lying?
Well, there's another purpose to it, which is to deflect from the obviously true, real videos of babies being killed by Israeli airstrikes all across the Gaza Strip. When I was in Gaza in 2014, I went to Khan Yunis, which is in the southeast, had been completely destroyed at its eastern edge by the Israeli military. And the casualties were so intense that the hospital started filling up in Khan Yunis. And I went to a small hospital and talked to the head of the hospital, and he showed me photos. And these photos are on my Twitter page from the time, all real. He had to bring in from local shops ice cream coolers to store dead babies in because the mortuaries had run out of space. And now we see Israel attacking the hospital in Beit Hanun in the north is completely out of commission. All of these hospitals are coming under attack. So babies are dying in the Gaza Strip. There's video right now. Jackson Hinkle just tweeted a video of a father carrying his baby out of the rubble. There's another video on Times of Gaza, a local publication, of a father putting his infant daughter to sleep for the last time. And they've completely erased these casualties. They've always been erased. And that's part of what fuels the violence and the ruthlessness that we see from these fighters, is that they want to avenge what they call their martyrs. And that fuels what is, referred to as the cycle of violence. This is the invisibilization of them.
So you think that some Hamas fighters, they target civilians because civilians in Gaza are targeted?
Well, first of all, let's point out another thing that's being left out of the conversation. What CNN never showed this, Fox never showed this. They targeted military bases, primarily military bases like Nahal Oz, that are maintaining the siege of Gaza, and they overwhelmed those bases and humiliated the fourth most powerful military on the planet, with a blue water navy, with nuclear weapons. Some of these fighters were filmed entering the bases with no shoes on. They're using homemade weapons, AK-47s, paragliders, fishing boats to get in. This is not a powerful army, and they humiliated them.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.